Yo, what's going on, guys? Back again with another video, and today I have a much more serious topic at hand because this is something that I've been thinking about sort of over the course of like the last 3 years, probably since like mid to late 2022 until now, and it's something that I've noticed ever since the pandemic ended. Is I've seen it like all across the internet, even IRL, but it's this idea that like ever since the pandemic ended, people have made like basic feelings such as like empathy and altruism into some sort of like commodity, or it's becoming rare in people to have. And I'm sitting back and thinking like, why is that the case? Now, before we get into a lot of what I want to talk about, I'll start with like just basic definitions of both. So like empathy is just the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person, being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and understand where they're coming from. Like you don't have to agree, but you can at least, sympathize and understand where they're coming from. And then altruism is the belief in or practice of disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others, doing the right thing even when no one's looking. Like like something that my parents used to tell me all the time is like, bro, you got to do you got to do the right thing even if there's no reward. And that's something I definitely believe, like even if you're not being rewarded for like saying like being nice or being a good person, like just the act of being a good person is going to get you, very very far in life. Some of the things that I've noticed in this like 2.5 to 3 year period when it comes to this question is like one of the main things is like the growing cynicism in the population. Like you've if you're on YouTube and about like this is before I'd say this like what I'm talking about started, but if you were on YouTube in like I want to say like that 2016, 17, 18 era, you would have probably been a fan of like one of like the bigger like commentary channels. And a lot of commentary channels then were, a lot of like cynical people talking about things, not in like maybe the most serious ways, kind of like poking fun at whatever they were talking about, doing it like ironically. And it's like I feel like that has started to come back a lot recently, except in the form of like tweets and reels, Reddit posts. Like you start to see a lot of people echo the same sentiment of like like the doomer ideology of like things are just they're all gonna end anyway. So why should you do X and why should you do Y? That's something that I've like, and I have definitely like I would say fallen victim to that for certain periods of time, and is one. I think this is one of like the main proponents of this, and that's kind of led into another thing that I've also noticed, like this like recent rise in this like quote unquote male loneliness epidemic. And it's like I didn't like I tried to do like a college like like presentation about this, and like at the time I didn't understand how this is like would definitely look weird and is just like not a thing until I like went down like way after and started like seeing more stuff about it. And it's like this not really like it's not some like male loneliness, like it's just not only is it just like an overall loneliness epidemic, like a lot less people are getting into relationships, but it's like the reason guys aren't getting into relationships aren't because of some like crazy like our reasons. It's just for most reasons like the guys just aren't good people. And the reason why they aren't good people is another one of the big things I notice, and it's like the people falling into that alt right pipeline. Now, what do I mean by like the alt right pipeline? Like people who are like younger, especially if you get into the internet at a younger age, you have like the chance of being exposed to like these people that will like try and introduce you to a lot of these like right wing ideas, but they won't like explicitly say it, and you won't explicitly know until a lot later on. and that would lead to a lot of people like trying to adopt those ideals as like, oh, that he's saying that this is the reason, so if I keep going off of this, something is surely going to change, when like a lot of that stuff is like usually it's not true at all, but is like extremely toxic, and it leads to like a lot of like, I'm sure we all remember the whole like toxic masculinity thing that is still going on to this day. And a lot of that comes from this like alt-right pipeline of people listening to people like, like the Andrew Tates of the world, like the Ben Shapiro's of the world, the Charlie Kirks of the world. Like these people are just spewing it nonsense, and just not giving, like, these are not life lessons that you should be following like at all. On top of the fact that most of them are just horrible people, like especially Andrew Tate and Benji, like all of them are just bad people. Like you can do, like, it is not, you is like, the information is like 2 clicks away. It is not hard to figure out how these people are just not good people at all. That kind of leads me into one of the main factors I think is a proponent to answering this question, and that's how a lot of people are like brought up. Like, growing up, I'm sure almost all of you have heard something along the lines of like, treat others how you want to be treated, or doing the right thing when no one, even when no one's looking. Like, these are lessons I think that should just be like facts, honestly, like fact, like the law of the land. But it's like, it feels like people, like, it feels like these lessons are being lost on a lot of people. And you can see, again, you see it a lot of the time online, and like we'll get into that later, but a lot of this stuff stems from the fact of like just the age that we're growing up in. It's like a lot of people online are echoing some just not good sentiments to follow, and lessons like, again, treating others how you want to be treated and doing the right thing when no one is looking. A lot of these are being like lost on people. And this especially goes for like, if you grew, let's say like me, I grew up around the Bible, like basically like all of like my kid life, like hard Christians, always teaching about the Bible, church every Sunday, Bible studies, like a lot of like, you don't like, and you don't have to believe in that stuff, or like in a religion like in general, but it's like a lot of the lessons like in the Bible, they are meant to be like, they aren't, I okay, they aren't meant to be like fact, like they aren't meant to be, like I said earlier, like the law of the land, but a lot of them are just like, they are meant to be general life lessons that you follow, and if you are to follow them, you ideally will become a good person and be good to other people. But it's like, this brings me to like a thing that I want to get out there, that's kind of a bit of a sidebar. Like, if you grew up with the Bible and like did all the like the Bible studies, do all of like the church every Sunday, if you grew up with all of that and you are still in any way, shape, or form like bigoted, or are punching down on the less fortunate, like, I have to sit you down for this, but like, you are not a Christian, you are a right winger. I have to rip the band-aid off, but that's how it is. And another thing that goes into this is a lot of the media that you will watch growing up. Because me, I was one of the people who was honestly lucky enough to grow up thinking that anime was cool, that it was amazing, and that it still is to this day. And I'm glad that it's in recent times becoming a lot more acceptable to say and believe that it is cool. Because back then you used to get bullied for watching that stuff, bro. People used to think this stuff was corny. But dude, like, that stuff will teach you life lessons that you will honestly keep with you for the rest of your life. It'll teach you how to, like, not necessarily how to deal with the heavier subjects of life, but like how characters will go through those experiences and how they will use those experiences to better not only themselves but the people around them. And a perfect example that I want to bring up, the namesake of my channel, and the character that I do share a birthday with, which is the most good thing ever, is Naruto, bro. Naruto is honestly still my favorite anime and manga to this day, because it doesn't have to be this like uber complicated story, but it gives you a lot of like basic life lessons, and it gives it to you straight, and it gives it to you in a way that is like extremely meaningful. Like, Naruto is a perfect example of what you will gain from being an empathetic person and being an altruistic person, and other things as well, such as just like sticking with your goals. Like, from the start of the show, Naruto says, "I want to be the Hokage," and everyone laughed at him. Everyone hates him because he's ostracized from the village because he has the nine-tailed fox in him. But throughout the story, almost like all the feats that he does, all of the people that he saves, all of the people that he even fights, like, he's still going through that with the sole goal of helping people, and most importantly helping his friends. And one of the friends I want to highlight is the GOAT, Shikamaru, because spoilers ahead, I will say this right here right now, there will be spoilers if you've somehow not read or watched the show. Alright? I'm warning you now. Alright. So, around, I'd say like the midpoint of the manga, when Jiraiya ends up dying, which is someone that Naruto looked up to as one of his father figures, he is obviously in probably the worst state we've seen him since the start of the manga. Like, he is just utterly defeated. He's just not he's not Naruto at all. And one of his friends who had went through something similar, which is Shikamaru, because I think before Jiraiya had died, Shikamaru had also lost his master, someone he looked up to as a father figure, besides his actual dad being Asuma. So when Naruto was going, or when Naruto was like reclused in his home, like, Shikamaru, like, he goes out of his way to go see Naruto and to cheer him up, and he tells him that he understands what he's going through. He understands what it's like to lose someone. But he says, like, if you want to become an ultra cool shinobi like Asuma and Jiraiya, you can't be snot nosed brats forever. And he basically tells him you gotta get up and keep going, bro, because we have people to save. And that is beautiful, bro. That is beautiful. Like, that is what you should aim to be like as a friend, and just as a person. Like, you should be able to show, you should be able to help people go through what they're going through, even if you haven't necessarily gone through what they're going through, because that just makes you an amazing person. And another person that Naruto like directly helps out is Gaara, because both him and Gaara are like the Jinchuriki. Like I said at the start, Naruto had the nine tails sealed in him. Gaara has the one tail sealed in him. And one of the biggest fights in part, or at least when they were kids, was Naruto ending up having to fight Gaara. And even throughout all of that fight, by the end of it, Naruto says to him that the pain of being alone is not trivial, and the way that he feels, he doesn't know why, but he understands it. He understands what it's like to be alone, because he lived through that. And then Gaara ends up referencing that later on in the war arc, whenever, Naruto gets captured, and he tells him that the friend who saved him is now targeted enemy, and he's basically now going off of the lessons that Naruto taught him, that, he's touched Gaara's heart, and now he wants to go out and protect him. and he wants everyone to come together and help Naruto. And that's an example. Like, bro, being you being altruistic will not, maybe not to as such extreme cases, but it will lead to cases where you will be able to touch people's feelings, and you can save someone like that, bro. Like, all some people really need is someone that is there for them. And Naruto was there for Gaara, and Shikamaru was there for Naruto, bro. And now they are honestly all like the best of friends. And that's something that, again, that's something that I think is being lost in modern times, is someone who will be that empathetic or be that altruistic towards other people. Now, I had asked some of my other friends this question, and one of the answers that I got was from, my goat, Tony. I appreciate him answering. And this ties into sort of the point that I want to get into right now with social media. And what he said is that I think people having less empathy is a result of overconsumption of media on the online presence that comes with it. People have become desensitized to the most horrific things, and some of the worst characteristics, such as narcissism, can thrive due to anonymity. It's made empathy and sympathy a fleeting trait in people. And I was like, yeah, I agree. And he's like, yeah, I've had the theory that the internet can be a vehicle for the worst opinions to find solace in other like-minded people. So it vindicates a lot of shitty behavior. And I agree. That's why I mentioned that alt-right pipeline. Like, that's a real thing, and people are trying to find solace in those ideals. And those ideals, like, honestly, 11 times out of 10 are extremely harmful to everyone around you, really, and yourself, because it'll honestly lead you to it'll lead you to think not only less of others, but it'll like put you on this like pedestal to where you start just not caring about other people's feelings. And that anonymous way of being able to talk to people is kind of like one of the main problems that I would say is contributed to what I mentioned earlier, with people growing more like cynic with a lot of topics, and that people just aren't able to actually sit and empathize with other people because they're too busy kind of like trying to one up people with jokes or troll them or rage bait them. Like, that stuff is just not good. Like, the whole rage baiting thing is extreme. It's so corny. It is the corniest thing ever. So corny. And one of the main sites that this is taking place on is Twitter. Like, ever since Twitter had become X, like, with Elon taking over the site, like, it is just allowed, he's just let some of the the dumbest, like, the probably like the most like racist, like the worst people you can imagine are just like running free on that website with no consequence whatsoever. And it's like it's those type of people where you kind of like sit back and you like take a second to think, like, there's no way this is a real person. Like, this cannot be a real person. Like, especially ever since they introduced that Twitter Blue thing where you can pay for the check mark instead of actual famous people being verified. It has led to people just saying the dumbest stuff imaginable just to engagement farm. And it like nothing good ever comes from people just like engagement farming and baiting people for reactions. And it's like, oh, you're just saying that because you fell for the bait. Like, are you serious? Like, those type of people that just like live on the internet just to bait Like those, you need to steer clear of those people, bro, because they are not good people. They're the same people that will do and say all this bad stuff, but the moment you do or say something bad or you call them out on it, you are immediately the villain. Immediately you become the villain. It's like, bro, what is that, like, what is that double standard? What are we doing? And it's like, you can't like actually like you're seen as being corny for being nice or like trying to show that you care. Like, you can't care about stuff. And it's like it creates these echo chambers of the sentiment, like, oh, it's corny to care about stuff, or like it's corny to overanalyze media, or like it's not that deep. Like, that statement itself, like, it's not that deep, that is one of the most like infuriating statements of all time, because it's just like completely disregarding your like how you feel about something. Just say, oh no, it's not that deep, all it is just this. Like, sure, if you want to just dumb down everything to the most basic thing ever, sure, it's not that deep. Like, he's like, you see how dumb that sounds? Like, and it's a lot. You can see it as well, and like on other sites like Reddit, and I don't know how it is for like some like the older sites like Facebook, but like it's like on Reddit and probably especially Instagram, like it's just mainly is people are just being like snarky for the sake of being snarky, like not like especially on Reddit, where like the main purpose of the site for a lot of people is to try and like find answers to questions, or to like seek help for issues with like stuff like like technical stuff, like electrical stuff, like stuff, maybe stuff with their car, or stuff with like their PC. And it's just people just being snarky and rude for asking, like what may seem to you as a like a basic and easy to understand question, but it's like not everyone is that, like technically gifted with that sort of stuff. And it's just like no one's ever gonna get better or be more uh affluent with skills if you are like never like trying to like help them get better with what they're trying to do. Like, it that just benefits no one at all. All it does is just like, honestly, it like makes people disinterested from the stuff, and it like makes some people like move away. Like, you're never gonna get someone to like, let's say, play the game you want to play if you're gonna like be snarky about it. Like, oh, why are you playing this game? You should be playing the game that I told you to play. Like, no, bro. Like, that's just gonna put people off. Like, it's just not good at all. Now I kind of want to bring this back into more like a bigger like macro scale to really show how this is not just like a personal, like this is like affecting everything in the world. Like, and first I want to highlight another one of my friends' answer is Lex. That's like, this has been my goat for who knows how long. And I asked him the same question as he said, so with what you said, I agree 100% with that statement, but it's a lot of reasons behind it. I don't know if you saw, but recent studies done after the effects of COVID revealed that everyone that caught it has irreversible brain damage in some form, and recorded more aggression in people who've caught it versus people who've had it. Add with that the rise of distractors and e-waste crap that helps people box themselves into online safe spaces that they can find time and perceive as what everyone thinks, and specifically in America, an uprising more ignorant and selfish thought processes, probably because those people were catching COVID constantly because they didn't care about anyone else but themselves, thanks to our president and media wanting to feed into cycles and less report what's right. Society is way less empathetic to things as a whole. A Palestinian director made a movie to discuss what's happening over there, and nobody cared at all, despite the sites reporting it. But a bad comic book movie will make millions the next weekend. A lot of the world is feeling the idea of I matter more specifically than anyone else around me, and it sucks to see. And it's like, yeah, bro, like the way things are reported on in this country is honestly like disgusting. Like if you ask anyone outside of America what is about what's going on in America, like they'll tell you like this stuff is evil, bro. The way that we treat people that are less privileged than like the default white setting, like the default white male setting, like it's evil, bro. Like for years there's been this like evil stigma around all sorts, like the poor, the homeless, like any sort of minority group, like any sort of people that try to come to the country. Like we just the most like evil sort of rhetoric you can imagine is spread about all these people. Is like, oh, that person's poor because they didn't work hard enough. Oh, that person's homeless because they didn't work hard enough. Like though, like I promise you've probably heard someone say that in your life before, and that stuff is just it's like it's just an evil way of thinking. That's how they want you to think, because that's how this sort of capitalist society works. Like these people are bad people because they just didn't work hard enough. Not the fact that they didn't have, the proper resources to get better, or they live in a society that's just way too expensive to have that sort of stuff. Like you'll hear older people talk about it all the time, how they were able to go to college for free, they had very affordable housing. Like a lot of the older people that say this, like that they're happy with that stuff, like they I saw this on a reel one time and it was really funny. Like a lot of the older people that are happy talking about this stuff, they're usually saying it because they have a house. Like people that are my age and around my age, like they still live with their parents, and that's completely fine. Like you should stay with your parents until you are stable enough to move out. The problem is that it's becoming harder and harder to become stable enough to move out, because people are the people running this country are making the things that should be, guaranteed rights into privileges, like healthcare, uh schooling, housing, insurance, utilities, groceries, gas. Like they treat all of these as, businesses, tax write-offs. It's like you are privileged. I don't even know if I mentioned it, but healthcare, that's like probably the most evil one. Like they treat all of this stuff as privileges instead of how other countries view it, which is a given right of being a citizen. Like there are like many other countries that have free healthcare, free college, affordable housing, affordable utilities and groceries. Like this stuff is given to them. It is not, dangled over their head with a price tag. Like a lot, like people of this country try to sell to other people coming into the country, like the immigrants of the country, that like, oh, like the American dream is you can, have everything. You can have your house, your white picket fence, your wife and kids and pets. You can have all of that here. But that's all. It's just not true. It used to be true, but it's like if you know what's going on, that's not true. Like if you don't have, like if you're not born wealthy, you're not guaranteed that stuff whatsoever. Like that's you have to basically like work for 50 years of your life before any of that stuff becomes like remotely possible. And even then, like when you retire, that's the stuff that you should be getting still isn't guaranteed. Like you can basically work yourself to death in any field, like even in like like serving in the military. Like you do all that stuff and that stuff is still not guaranteed to you. Like it's just and people think that's okay. That's the craziest part about this, is that people think that's okay. Like that other, like other countries view that as like psychotic. Like you see, like if you're online at to any degree, you've seen someone for like a joke about how like Americans don't have free healthcare, because like that is funny to them because it's free in so many other places. And yeah, you might say, oh well, they pay more taxes. Like yeah, and their taxes actually go to the stuff that they need, like healthcare, like housing. you know their groceries don't cost an arm and a leg to bring home. you know Breaking a bone won't set you up for eternal debt. Going to school won't set you up for eternal debt. Like people just think that that stuff is completely fine and dandy, and that if you are complaining about it, you just simply aren't working hard enough. Like do you is that processing to you just how like dumb that sounds? That's stupid. And then there's the people that'll be like, oh well, the immigrants are taking all the jobs. The immigrants are the dangerous people in this country. This country was built off of the backs of immigrants, bro. Like they are probably more American than a lot of the people that are saying that. And now like Trump is bringing in these policies to just kick them out. Like, are we being serious? Like, is just like this is what I'm saying. It's like they're just building on this negative stigma and just villainizing these people for just trying to exist. Like it is, if you look up any sort of like way, like if you look up the way to like become a documented citizen, that process can take like upwards of like 25 years. So it's like whenever people say like, oh, it's just they were undocumented immigrant, like no, they're applying for the documents. It's just taking like basically like half of a life, bro. And like some of the people that have been applying for it, like Trump is just straight up denying that application and sending them back, or even better, sending them to these quote unquote detention centers, which again have to rip the band-aid off. They are not detention centers, they are concentration camps. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. They are concentration camps. And that stuff is like beyond inhumane, bro. Beyond. If you see like any sort of images from these places, you see that they are like beyond like human comprehension and how like evil they are. Like no human should be like kept there. Like they are literally kept as like cattle and just kept there to just rot away, just because they're a nuisance to Trump and they're the enemy. Like that doesn't make any sense, and that's stupid. And like then there will be those people that'll say, "Well, I didn't vote for this. I voted to make groceries cheaper, make gas cheaper." Do you like? you you are such a poor, ignorant soul. And at that point, like that's on you. You believed a serial liar. Like, and yes, that is what you voted for. There's no other way to put it. You did vote for that. And yep, like instead of all of your money, going into actually helping people live better lives, actually become, American citizens, it's going to where? Oh yeah, it's going to the United States of the Middle East, which is Israel. And people will again. There's another. This section is gonna have like a lot of just ripping the band-aid off. Just gotta, because I gotta tell you how it is. Like they are just massacring innocent people for no reason other than what? No reason other than, oh, because the land was promised to us X amount of time. Shut up! You guys are evil! Anyone that supports anything about Israel or denies that it is a genocide, because it is, you are evil! You are evil. You are a horrible person that lacks empathy. You are evil. There's like that. I'm not having it any other way. No, like if, ands, or buts. You are evil. And it just like, it blows my mind that people can sit here and like deny that that's going on, because what Tony mentioned earlier, like there's people posting about it on Twitter almost every day. Like there's hundreds of videos showing what's going on in Gaza and in the Middle East as a whole. Like just I don't know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago, Israel just decided, you know what, we're just gonna bomb the capital of Syria, which is the oldest, like one of the oldest cities in the world. We're just gonna bomb it because why not? We can just do that and have no repercussions, because we can just make ourselves look like the victims in the situation. Like, oh my god, how do people just agree to that, bro? People just agree to that, and our government just supports that. Like, what? What? And people will still sit here and deny, like, oh, there's no genocide. Israel's not evil. If you're saying Israel's evil, you're what is it? Oh yeah, you're anti-Semitic for saying that Israel is evil. No! No, that's not how that works, bro. That is not how that works. The IDF needs to disappear permanently. Israel needs to disappear permanently. ICE needs to disappear permanently. Like these things cannot exist, like, at all. These are just like evil, like these are just entities of evil that have no place in this world at all. But you know what? They're gonna stick around. You know why? Because the U.S. is just gonna let it fly, and it boosts business. Because the U.S. views, and well, everyone views war as a business, but especially to the U.S. Like that's their bread. That's the U.S.'s bread and butter is war. Like destabilizing an entire region, but the profits. The sweet sweet bucks. Like, oh man, it is so embarrassing, bro. The complete and utter lack of empathy for any life that doesn't boost profit margins is just absurd. And like when Israel also bombed, the capital of Iran earlier this month, or I think late last month, like you probably saw the people like, oh, like you probably saw all of the like World War III jokes. It's like, bro, I don't know if I can pull up the tweet, but I remember retweeting a tweet and posting it to my story talking about, it's like, people like, is that sort of stuff is just so insensitive, because it's like all these people are just like tweeting it from the comfort of their home. Meanwhile, people are actually having to basically live out World War III every single day of their lives, and there's almost no one to help them because I mean the U.S. isn't going to help them because they're helping the people doing it. They're helping the people causing the war instead of helping the people that are in need. Like recently, Trump burned what was it, like 500 million pounds of like emergency food. Like that could have gone to people in need here and people in need across the globe, but nope, torch it. We don't need it. Torch it. Like are like like it gets to a point where it's like all you can do like when you're reading these stories, especially in this recent time, like all you can like it gets to a point where like if you're not laughing, you're crying, because like this stuff is just evil, bro. And I remember, I think it was sometime before the election, I was playing Fortnite with Hayden and one of our old friends. Screw it, was playing with him and Matt, and like Matt, like me and Hayden were talking about like, bro, like the U.S. is literally becoming 1930s Germany, bro. Like in front of like, well, we weren't saying it was becoming. We were saying like if Trump were to get reelected, we would start seeing it happen like in front of our eyes. And then Matt was like, no, I think it's a bit of an overreaction. And looking, like I tweeted about this, or like looking back on that now, I don't think that was an overreaction. No. In fact, I think we've been proven right time and time and time and time and time again in the past. On how long ago was that? I think it was like year and a half, half a year. Like they've just been being proven right. Like we've basically made ICE into a secret police to just yank people off the streets for no apparent reason. Like if they're gonna like it, them doing it to quote unquote immigrants, like that's just a test run, they're already doing it to legal American citizens, bro. But it's gonna get to the point where they're just gonna become the actual secret police. They're just gonna start yanking up people who oppose the government just for exercising the First Amendment, because can't have anyone speaking out against you, so we're just gonna have you disappear. Like, guys, guys, come on, let's get real. We gotta start seeing this stuff for what it actually is. Like, this is like anyone who study history, like you see the signs as clearly as I see them, and you are seeing what's going on. It's not gonna end well, bro. This kind of brings me to one of the biggest points of this, and it's this: that those people who will try to tell you, like I mentioned earlier, those people who say, oh, it's not that deep, or the people that will also say like, yo, not everything is political, bro. Like, look, I used to think like that. All right, I used to be like, yo, I understand why politics and everything, bro. Let it just be about X. Let it just be about Y, bro. Not everything has to be about politics. Like I used to think like that. All right, but the more you actually read up on some stuff, and you start to realize that everything kind of is about politics. Like, most, if not all, of the media that we see has some form of political or social subtext, or it's an outright political or social commentary. Like, for example, the Superman movie that just dropped not even a week ago. Not only is Superman meant to be like a social commentary of how people should just, like, how it is good to just do good for the sake of doing good, not wanting to be rewarded for doing it. just doing it out of the goodness of your heart, and as Superman does, just saving everyone for the sake of saving everyone. And the political commentary of the movie, for, again, spoilers, you gone? All right. The political commentary of the movie, with Baravia being a very literal depiction of Israel, and with the country they're invading being, the political depiction of Gaza. Like, I don't understand. You can't go into that movie and be like, "Oh, it's not political. It's not about that." Like, dude, you gotta come to a point where you can start actually putting two and two together and seeing what is being shown to you. Like, a lot of people, I feel like, struggle with the concept of, like, show but not tell, because I think in recent times people are just expecting everything to be told to you in, like, a single episode, rather than, actually digging deeper, because, again, it is that deep. All right, the whole point of media is to dig deeper into it and discuss the deeper meanings of it, because, like, a good show is not just gonna tell you everything. That's bad writing. And as well as Superman, other Marvel heroes, like, the X-Men are quite literally all depictions of minority groups and how they have to survive in America. Like, you know, a large majority of what hip hop was built off of is, the struggle of being black in America. You know, everyone's favorite cartoon, The Last Airbender, is, quite literally them fighting a fascist or imperialist regime. And probably one of the best episodes of the show, is when Aang is going undercover in the Fire Nation, and he's seeing what these, like basically fascist ways of teaching is leading people to believe. Like, these are all commentaries, and it's like, with this, I have, like, with recent times, I am now of the belief that a telltale sign of actually growing up is being able to recognize the political and social commentaries, as well as the positive lessons from all of these different forms of media, and being able to put them into practice in the real world. Like, that, being able to have the media literacy to understand these concepts and see why the bad guys are bad. Because if you, like, take a set like again step back, like, take a second, step back, what do a lot of villains in media have in common? A lot of them are usually genocidal maniacs, no sense of empathy or remorse for anything that they do. A lot of them are, there's usually, the big evil corporation, or the, imperialist or fascist military. Like, there is, like, life tends to imitate art, and there's a reason, or yeah, life imitates art, but there's a reason these are the ways that bad guys are depicted. Like, there's a pretty big reason for that, because a lot of this stuff is, we've seen it play out in real life. A lot of the reasons that we can't have, a decent way of living is because, big corporations are just turning rights into paid privileges. Like I mentioned earlier, like, these guys are depicted as villains in a lot of media for a reason. Okay? Like, again, in Superman, like, LexCorp, a big evil corporation. Like, It becomes the more you sit back and think about it, the more obvious it becomes. And that leads me into saying, like, if you don't necessarily understand where you stand politically, because it can definitely be complicated. Like, this is where it all like comes back and wraps around to saying, like, being able to show empathy and have a high level of understanding of empathy and altruism will lead you to it will guide you into finding your political compass. And through a lot of political conversations, like, just ask yourself some, like, simple questions like, does everyone deserve free healthcare? Most people would say yes. Does everyone deserve free college? Most people would say yes. Do people deserve to have affordable amenities such as, groceries, gas, utilities? Again, most people would say yes. And congratulations, a lot of those, socialist values. But the term socialist has been demonized by people of the right because it directly conflicts with their idea of turning everything into a profit margin. So I guess no, a big takeaway is don't view people as actual people and not dollar signs. Uh, like, I saw one tweet where it's like, "Oh, I should wear body cameras." No, ICE shouldn't exist. Like, we gave police body cameras. You see where that ended up? Not helping at all. Which is also why they also need to go. Is a joke, another joke in recent times, but eerily true. Like, you never see anyone say "F the fire department." You know why? Because they actually do their job. So, I guess all of that is to say, all of that is to summarize, like, and to loop back to my question, like, they things like empathy and altruism have become a commodity is because a lot of people, like, the people that run the government, run the media, they're making these things seem as like socialist or communist ideals, and those are evil ideals. And as well as what Tony said with how people are, using the mask of being anonymous to just spread hate. Because, I mean, like, you're not gonna do any. No one's gonna do anything about it. It's like they're not gonna get suspended because Elon is doing the same thing. He's right there with them, spreading the hate. So all of these come together and come into the messages I want to say. It's just like, if you just try to be like, understand how people are in the situations that they're in, understand what they're going through, and just try to be just not even a better person necessarily, but if you just try your hardest to do better as a person, like, it will pay off no matter what. Like, being a good person, the reward will be tenfold whatever reward you like might want to expect of being a good person. Like, like, a lot of the things, it'll just come naturally because, if you're a good person and you just do good for people, people will realize that and they'll spread the word, like, hey, this person is really nice, compassionate, they're really helpful. And it'll go a long way in every, like, field of life. It'll take you very far, and it'll lead you not only to just being a better person, but it'll also lead you to maybe even just becoming like a more educated person with stuff that's going on like in the world, you know, because like it'll make you ask questions like why are they doing this to these people, you know. So I think that'll be everything from me, and I just hope that you take some of this to heart, because you know I've probably just been rambling for the last hour, but a lot of this stuff I genuinely believe, and you know I want other people, especially the people that I'm around, I just want them to be good people, because no one has fun whenever there's bad people around. So like I'm saying for the third time, that's enough from me. I'll see you guys in the next one, and peace.